Yep, doing a little quick review of Dragon Dogma. Going over the pros and cons, what I think they could do better. But personal opinion, obviously. The first thing I like about my favorite thing about Dragon Dogma 2 is the boss fights. I don't know what to call them, but the encounters you have with griffins, dragons. I think the game really shines when you're fighting an enemy or when the combat is flowing. I have no problem losing to a griffin or a dragon, or I don't know what they're called, but they're like the rock monsters that shoot beams. I have no problem losing to them multiple times. It's so fun to play. It's a difficulty aspect that, like I said, games can be difficult without having to be frustrating. Other than fighting 6 wolves is not really fun in my opinion. But another thing I do like, I don't think the open world aspect is as good as people hyped up it to be. It is a lot of samey, the world. It's big, it's massive. It has a decent amount of variety in enemies, encounters, caves. But you play, when you're like 10 hours into the game, you really start to lose the aspect of how good the world looks or how creativity it is. Because you're spending 10 hours in the same place. It was gonna happen sooner or later. And there's only so many griffins and ogres you can fight until you get neutral on things. That wow factor leaves after a while. The fight doesn't. I think fighting a griffin for the 5th time is always entertaining. But seeing one in the open, that feeling pretty leaves. I think if you've played the game, you know that. Your first encounter with the ogre is like your favorite stuff, or Cyclops. They're called Cyclops. That's my favorite thing to fight. The Cyclops fight has to be 10 out of 10. I wish the Cyclops was more difficult. It's actually very easy, especially when you're using fire. Actually, when you're using anything, the Cyclops is a little bit too easy. That's another thing. I wish these big boss fights were way harder. I thought the game was going to be difficult. The only thing that's difficult in this game is a dragon. But these fights right here, I wish these encounters were more difficult. It's really just slicing your sword. Climbing it does change it, but you don't really have to. These bosses, at least in my play, they really haven't made me think or try. It's really when, like right now what's happening, when you get ganged up on like 3 lizards at one time versus a troll, that's when the game gets difficult. Because you get stun locked like I am. I think I survived this. But another thing I like about the world is I like the, what's it called? The looting. The looting. That's very good too. The looting of treasures, armor. It's a very good aspect. It does reward you for looking around every corner. That's one thing that I think games should always do. Reward me for playing the game. And it does reward you for searching every corner. Especially with the, what's it called? Secret tokens thing. I think they're called secret tokens. That game, that aspect makes you search every corner, which is also still rewarding. I like the pawns. The pawns is a good aspect of the game too. They do talk a lot. I wish that was a setting. I don't know why they don't. That's the thing about Dragon Dogma 2. I don't know why they don't have certain settings, quality of life changes, to just give the player a more better experience to their liking. Oh, look at this dragon. See, this is the moment I'm talking about in gaming in Dragon Dogma 2 that's really exciting. The fact that you can just be walking and fight a dragon is pretty cool. It dies right here because it couldn't land on a wooden bridge, but that happens a lot in Dragon Dogma. You're just playing the game and then you run across a griffin. That stuff is amazing. I love that. But there's certain quality of life changes I don't get why the game just doesn't have. I get it. Dragon Dogma 2 fans are saying it's always like that in number 1. But what's wrong with just having quality of life changes as an option? I get it, you want to stay true to your roots as a video game, but there's certain aspects. Having a lock on as an option for players who want it or don't want it doesn't change the game as what it is. Having the option to make the pawns speak less, because the pawns do speak a lot. I don't think anybody can defend that that's a good aspect of the game. Like, they talk a shit ton. Having that be an option is not changing what the game is. Having options, as in let me customize my character as many times as we want. Even if you as the player don't really care about customizing your character, because I don't care about customizing my character at all. I really don't even notice it. I've said it multiple times. I'm not even a big customizable fan. Not, I don't hate it. I'm just saying I don't really spend my time in it because you barely see a character's face, and I don't really care as long as they look nice. But what's wrong with fans having that, even if you, the player, don't want it? And that's like, people are like, it's the game came out 12 years ago. Games should evolve, and that's what's wrong with Dragon Dogma 2. Is it stays too close to its roots that it's probably hurting it more than it helps. There's nothing wrong with adding things in to make the gameplay experience more enjoyable. But like my cons, there's a few cons I have in this game. The cons of fast travel is annoying. I have no problem with where you can fast travel to. But when you're walking for 40 minutes straight to go to a quest, and then you have to walk 40 minutes back because you left your stone in your inventory, or maybe you don't want to spend your stone on this point, but that's not a fun gameplay experience to walk 40 minutes to a destination and to have walked 40 minutes back, and then you blame it on it's because that's what Dragon Dogma 1 did. I get it, but you can have options. There's nothing wrong with having where the fast travels are and just having it unlimited, or maybe they could even have a cooldown. Why does it have to be certain to a limit of a crystal? You tell me the game could have a cooldown system that maybe it cools down every 5 minutes so you won't be spamming it. There's certain things like that that doesn't change what the game is. I think what Dragon Dogma is should stay what it is. I'm not a big fan of changing how the combat is. I like the difficulty. I'm okay with what the world is. It's quality of life changes that people are asking for. You can't blame it on it's because of what the previous game was. We've seen that, but it was a game, Starfield. Starfield was a game that stayed true to its roots, and look how that turned out. Everyone said, oh, they should have changed. The Far Cry series, you ask any Far Cry fan, what's the problem with Far Cry? And they'll tell you it's because they're not doing anything different. NBA 2K, you ask their fans, they tell you what's wrong with the game. They're not doing anything different. What's another series? Assassin's Creed. The biggest complaint with Assassin's Creed is that they're not doing anything different. After years, you have to change, even if it's a little. And that's what I think. This game is just Dragon Dogma 1 with HD graphics. There's nothing wrong with enhancing your game. But that being said, I do think that the game is good. But people got to realize when it comes to games, especially now in 2024 when they cost a shit ton to make, it's not just about if you like a game. You got to have a lot of players for the success of the game, of course. And if me playing the game and I'm having fun, and I don't care if they add in a fast travel, but 10,000 people do, then why not have it in? That doesn't affect me. But that being said, the game is good. The game is good as much as many problems it has in the quality of life. I can't deny what is good, especially as someone whose favorite fiction of all time is Lord of the Rings. Especially me, I just imagine I'm playing Lord of the Rings, running around. That's all it really does for me. I like the enemies. Everything about it is good. I wish and I wonder if Dragon Dogma is going to get future updates. I hope they add a boss fight like a Balrog. Wouldn't that be cool if Dragon Dogma 2 had a Balrog in it as a boss fight? That's one thing I hope the future does do. I don't want this game to just be one and done. Be what it is. Maybe down the road they can add in ice place, a volcano place, add in some secret boss fights, add in, I don't know, maybe snakes that you can climb and travel with and you got to stay on. Things like that. Because I don't want the game to get stale and be the same game. I don't know, maybe even a year later. Having a boss fight here and there doesn't hurt. But my review personally, I give the game a B+ personally. And I think the game is a B+ in general. I think the game is the B plus in general, but people gotta understand when there's so many games dropping, people can't pick every game that's coming out. You gotta choose. You gotta choose this game or that game most of the time. And for a lot of people, some people don't have time to play games. So when they do have the time to play a game and they're fucking 2 hours a day, that game gotta be they gotta get the most out of that game. That's the problem. Like, you're asking someone, hey, should I play Dragon Dogma or Rise of Ronin? Regardless of what you say, them games have to battle for people's time. And why would you want a game to just be like, well, go play Rise of Ronin, when you should be like, hey, come play Dragon Dogma? And be like, oh, but I don't want to play it because they don't have certain things in the game. Little things. And then be like, oh, I get it. Maybe they should really add that.
Might switch to fire though.
They got game like Stellar Blade is coming out. Dragon Dogma will have to complete with Stellar Blade. That's the problem. Should you be like, oh, just go play Stellar Blade, we don't need you over here? No, you should be like, hey, try it out. Because it's a good game. But when it's held back by certain quality of life that people blame it on as being number one, it's not really a good thing. But B plus overall, I'm gonna play the game. Maybe beat the story. I don't know if I'll do every side quest. But that's it. See you next video and peace.